everybody. Thank you, everyone. Oh my gosh, thank you. Woo! What a way to start the party, I tell you. Welcome to our birthday live stream celebrating me, which normally I don't necessarily do, but you know what? I am now a social content media creator, and daggone it, I'm going to let everybody know it's my birthday. So there you go. And we already have, thank you, Miss Gypsy. Thank you. So greatly appreciated. And Z Highness is here. Thank you, ladies. So good to have each and every one of you here. Oh, what is going on with Rumble? Rumble's supposed to be operating right now. What's up with this? Hang on, got to check on something. Let's see. All right, supposedly we're in. What's going on here? This crazy thing. Okay, there we are. All right, we're working. Yes, today is my birthday. And like I said in my Twitter post, normally I tend to be very private about this sort of thing. But you know what? Seems like I've got the day off from work. Not much is going on. Everything in my house is more or less up to date. So I thought, why not? Let's do a live stream. Let's celebrate getting old. And I will go ahead and tell people my age. I will go ahead and tell you I am 52 as of today. Yes, hard to believe. A man that looks so robust and youthful is in his 50s, but there you go. So if you're just joining us now, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Glad to have you here with me. I am celebrating my birthday online. Like I say, something under normal circumstances, I would never even give 1.5 million thoughts to, but you know what? I just want to come on here and say thank you to everybody in one form or another. I was going over some things this morning before I came on here, and in case people are wondering, this is going to be a very stripped down, basic, ordinary sort of a live stream. There's going to be nothing fancy about this at all. Normally I am twitchy and neurotic in my preparations. I'll have 1,000,001 tabs across my screen. You know, I'll have stuff prepared. I'll have everything you could possibly imagine. And not so much today. This is just kind of a nice, relaxed stream. I have no idea how long I'll be on here. If you're regulars to my channel, or even if you're viewers for the first time, normally I'm a good 2 hours on Saturday morning, depending on bathroom breaks. And, you know, but yeah, it could be, I have no idea how long we'll be here. I wanted to come on here and say thank you and, you know, celebrate a little bit. And I have a lot to be thankful for, by the way. I was looking up some statistics before I came on here. My channels, both on YouTube and on Rumble, have been going now for a little over 8 months, about 8.5 months. And in that time on YouTube, I have acquired, thankfully, over 500 subscribers to my channel and almost 2,700 hours of watch time, which is people checking out my videos, my live streams, interviews I've done with people, etc. And like I said, and I've said all along, for a guy who has never been on social media and has absolutely no experience in doing this, the fact that, you know, 500 and some folks have been willing to subscribe to my channel and check out my work is a very high honor. And I've got, regulars on the front porch like Gypsy and Z Highness and Robert Lowry, who, because of work, couldn't be here today. Up in Connecticut, Leanne, even Larry the Liberal, uh, which I'm assuming he's not here right now because he's working. Didn't know liberals. Oh, hello. We have a comment um, from Rumble. Hello, Front Porch. I think you mentioned that you are from the great state of West Virginia. Can you give your thoughts on how a guy like Joe Manchin held on there? Joe, you hang on to that. I will happily do. Let me finish my thought, and I'll answer your question. Now, I said that I really don't have anything planned. I've got maybe 2 or 3 news stories to talk about, just kind of intersperse in with my own thoughts. But Joe, hang on. I'll get to that question. I'll be glad to answer that for you. So yeah, and on Rumble, I've acquired 123 subscribers. And this is just my own observation about the difference between those two platforms. Rumble is all about the live streams. YouTube is all about the videos. Now, you can do both on both channels, but my point is this. I don't live stream to Rumble a lot, except for when I am doing Front Porch Brunch on Saturday morning. And I also post my videos over there. So the fact that 123 individuals have found my work and they're willingly giving me a subscription is just tickling me to death. And where YouTube is concerned, that's where most of my videos go, and people check them out and they give me a subscription. So from the bottom of my heart, and I mean this in all sincerity, I'm not just saying this because it's my birthday, I got to thank you guys. You are the best audience on the internet. You're the smartest audience on the internet. Before I could even get a thought out of my mouth, you guys are already putting the comment in chat and just letting it go and, just letting it ride. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now, to Joe's question, he asked me over on Rumble, I will confirm I am from the great state of West Virginia. And can you give your thoughts on how a guy like Joe Manchin held on there as long as he did? I will do that. One last thing. People have been wondering, or people always ask me, well, what do you want for your birthday? Well, you know what? When it comes to this live stream, I want just one of 3 things. Either A, subscribe to my channels on YouTube and Rumble. 2, give a Rumble rant if you are so inclined, but please do not do anything that puts you in a bad position. Okay. Or number 3, do both of them at the same time. So that said, I'm going to put this banner up here and hopefully people feel so inclined. So we'll see what happens. Give me one. There's one other thing I want to do here. Hang on. There we go. That's what I want to do. Now we'll run that baby across there. There you go. So yes, if you happen to be watching this live stream today and you are not a subscriber to my channel, do one of 3 things for me to say happy birthday. Either A, subscribe to my YouTube and Rumble channels. B, if you feel so inclined and you're able, give a Rumble rant. Or C, do both of them at the same time. We are to borrow a line from another live streamer, we are a listener-supported endeavor, and we'll take all your support we can get. Now, Joe, to your question. How did Joe Manchin survive in West Virginia for as long as he did? Well, you have to understand the answer to that question is ancestral more than it is current. Now, here's what I'm getting at. If you go back to the formation of the state of West Virginia in the middle of the Civil War, from the origin of the state of West Virginia going forward to the Great Depression, West Virginia was a reliably Republican state. Okay? I mean, you had Republican governors left and right. You had Republican control of the legislature, on and on and on. Then the Great Depression hit. And what happened from there is that for the next 80 years, Democrats had control of every major political institution in the state. Now, you would occasionally have a Republican governor, like let's say Cecil Underwood in the 1950s, and then again in the 1990s. You would have the late Arch Moore, okay? And you might occasionally have a Republican congressman. But by and large, Joe, what would happen is Democrats ran everything. Now, as with any other state in America, there are very famous political families in the state of West Virginia. And the Mansions are one of them. I think I mentioned briefly last Saturday morning for Front Porch Brunch that um, Joe Manchin's uncle A. James is a legend in West Virginia politics. Okay. He was at one time the state treasurer, got himself in some trouble, and in spite of the fact that he was found guilty of various charges in court, to show you how strong the dominance was of the Democratic Party in the state of West Virginia, he ran for state legislature to the House of Delegates, and son of a gun, if a convicted criminal didn't win election as a delegate. And as a matter of fact, he died in office. Now, everybody looks at West Virginia today through the political prism of the present. Okay? And they see West Virginia as this ruby red Republican state. Well, you have to remember that when Joe Manchin was coming up through the state legislature, the state senate, and the Secretary of State's office, and then governor, the Democrats still had a lock on political control of this state. Okay? And you also have to remember something about West Virginia Democrats is unlike their national counterparts, they're not nearly as ideologically to the left, which made it easy for guys like Joe Manchin, the late Robert Byrd, and others to hang on in politics as long as they did. Because West Virginians would view them as being culturally conservative and economically moderate. And that's the tradition that Joe Manchin grew up in. Matter of fact, I moved back to West Virginia in 2000, and the Democrats literally, and I mean literally, had everything locked down. Governor, state treasurer, auditor, secretary of state, both houses of the legislature, majority of the seats on the state Supreme Court, etc. And for decades, and I mean decades, at the presidential level, West Virginia almost always gave her electoral votes to the Democrats. And what happened was, beginning in 2000, that began to shift. In 2000, George W. Bush won West Virginia. Now, like I said, through the modern prism of the political present, that doesn't seem like that big of a shock. But you have to remember something at that time. In the year 2000, the fact that a Republican won the state of West Virginia in a presidential election in a non-incumbent year, okay? In a non-incumbent year was the first time that that had happened since 1928. Almost 80, no, a little over 70 years. 72 years since the last time that happened. And then what began to happen slowly over time is that Republicans in individual offices began to win victories. Shelley Moore Capito became a congresswoman. And then another Republican would win, and then another, and then another. And then finally in 2014, the Republicans seized control of both houses of the legislature. Now, what does all this have to do with Joe? Well, you have to remember, by the time all those political changes had started to happen, Joe was already firmly ensconced in the minds of West Virginia voters. He'd been governor. Let's see, he won in 2004. His first term as governor, won re-election in 2008. When Robert Byrd died in 2010, he ran for the U.S. Senate and won. He's been there ever since. And even though, Joe, the state has shifted politically to the Republican Party, Joe was already pretty well locked in. As a matter of fact, if he hadn't announced his retirement when he did about a week ago, I will make an argument that he would have been defeated in the next election if he had run again for the U.S. Senate. That's how much West Virginia has changed in the past 20 years. That someone like a Joe Manchin, as celebrated as he is in his own individual accomplishments, and as someone who comes from a very famous political family, not even he would have survived in West Virginia politics anymore. So, I mean, Joe, I hope that answers your question, but that's pretty much my take on the whole thing. So, yeah, that's how Joe Manchin held on for as long as he did in West Virginia, which, by the way, don't be surprised if old Joe winds up running for president on the No Labels political party. I mean, he's being very coy about it, but the reality is he's gonna run for president, or the No Labels party is going to draft him to be their nominee, which is probably more the case. All right, but yeah, that's my long answer for it. So, welcome to my birthday live stream. Like I said, this is going to be a very chill session, especially for me. If you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am a relative newcomer to the whole social media thing, and I have been going through my growing pains and learning as I go along. But as I said a little bit earlier, I've been doing this now for a little over 8 months, and I absolutely love it. It drives me crazy some days, and then it does some things that absolutely surprises me. So, again, if you're not familiar with my work, I do videos, I do live streams. Oh, hello, sir. How you doing, brother? Oh, and by the way, yes, I think to answer your question, Christian, I think you ought to speak to the whole um, Candace Owens Ben Shapiro debate if it has intellectual relevance. Thank you, sir. I genuinely appreciate that. I genuinely appreciate it. Genuinely appreciate it. Coming from a gentleman of your caliber, that is a high compliment indeed. I thank you. But yeah, I think you should. I think you ought to talk about it because there's more going on there than meets the eye. And I think if anybody can flesh out with intellectual value what all that means, you're the man. So glad to have you here. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, we're on YouTube. We're on Rumble right now. We're on Twitter. Got some folks watching on YouTube. Christian, and then by the way, folks, if you're not subscribed to Christian Watson's channel on YouTube, you need to check this guy out. Christian Watson is probably one of the coolest dudes and probably one of the smartest people I've ever come across. And Christian, I gotta get you back on sometime because going into next year, man, is gonna be a wild ride. Absolutely wild ride. I gotta get you back on sometime. Um oh, thank you, sir. Coming from you, that's an extremely, extremely high compliment. I genuinely appreciate that. I do. But yes, subscribe to Christian Watson's channel. This is a young man who is absolutely going places and is probably one of the smartest interpreters of American politics and the intellectual foundations that undergird them. You need to be checking out his work. He is absolutely amazing. So, yeah, Christian Watson's in the house. The Highness is here. Gypsy's here. Got a bunch of people over on Rumble. God love you. Glad to see all you Rumblers. Now, I have noticed something about Rumble, and I am not saying this to bust anybody's chops. Okay, so when you Rumblers over there, when I start talking about you, don't you go running off. Okay. um, Folks on Rumble have the tendency to lurk as opposed to interact. Now, don't get me wrong, you Rumblers, I love you. I love you. But man, y'all are the quietest bunch of people I think I've ever seen in my life. I don't ever hear you, with very rare exception, do I hear you guys, dropping comments in chat, which, by the way, you are at liberty to do so. So, I love talking to people. You give me long enough, I'll talk your leg off. It's a Southern thing. I will freely admit to that. So yeah, like I said, this is a very casual live stream. I just wanted to come on here and say thank you guys. Um, you know, you guys are just amazingly awesome. Z Highness says 199. Okay, all right. I need somebody to explain that to me. What is this 199 thing? I mean, I know that Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers is all about that, but what is this 199 thing? Help an old fart out. What is this? You know. Uh so yeah, if you're here, we're glad you're here. And like I said, I just want to come on and say thank you. I've been only doing this for 8 months, and my channel has grown in ways I never could have expected. You know, I'm live streaming, I'm doing videos, I'm talking to people, I'm doing interviews with people. You know, it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of time, but there are things of value that are being built, and hopefully my audience uh my audience, continues to grow, and I can continue to bring good content to them and thoughtful commentary, and give them a place they can go on the internet that is maybe a little bit different and also something of value. So, for everybody who has made what I do a whole lot of fun so far, from the bottom of my heart, you guys are awesome. I absolutely love you guys. Okay, so the story on 199 is someone had a typo for 1999 and typed 199. Okay. All right. That's different. That's interesting. So, yeah, so that's the backstory. Now, you may notice a scrolling crawl across the bottom of the screen. And if you would like, there are one of three things that you could do for my birthday. And yes, I'm being a shameless huckster right now, but it's my birthday. Get over it. Okay. If you're not a subscriber to my YouTube or Rumble channel, okay, do me a favor on my birthday. Give me a sub. Give me a sub to both of them. Number two, if you are so inclined, and if you have some extra coin in the pocket after you've been a responsible person and paid your bills and tucked some of it away and what have you, if you've got some extra coin and you would like to help out a poor, struggling content creator, give me a Rumble rant. Or option 3 on my birthday, you can do both of those things. Subscribe to my channels and give me a Rumble rant. So there you go. There are your options. So I said that this is a very chill live stream, and it is. It truly is. People who watch my channel, and Christian knows exactly what I'm about to say. Normally, when I do a live stream, I've got like a blue slew of stories and tabs up that I want to talk about. And I've already got 1,000,001 comments prepared, and all that. This is kind of a very chill live stream. Like I say, this is just me coming on here to talk. And to answer, for those who are maybe just now dropping by and you might be asking the question, how old is that handsome devil? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. I am 52 today, which, as I said earlier, I know must be shocking to everyone because I look so young and vibrant. But yes, believe it or not, I am 52, 52 years old. And I never thought in all my wildest dreams that at 52 years old, I'd be sitting here on my birthday on a live stream talking with Christian Watson and Z Highness and Gypsy and Joe and everybody else and just having myself a good old time doing it. But here we are as I pour myself something for the glass. Now, like I said, normally I have a million and one topics prepared to talk about, but I did take the liberty of gathering up a few little things. Some of them we can talk about. One of them is going to get done in a longer form video because it's about time I take this person head on. I've had about enough of them. But I guess we could talk about what happened last night in Washington, D.C. And Z Highness says, give him a Juicy Smollett sub. I'm not sure about a sub. Yes, a Juicy Smollett version of that. I'm not so sure, but okay, you kids these days and your funny phrases. So, but Z Highness, I'm kidding with you. I know what you mean, honey. But yeah, did you guys hear what happened last night in D.C.? This is absolutely astounding to me. Well, I shouldn't say astounding, but I've got some thoughts about it. Do you know that the DNC headquarters on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. was attacked by pro-Palestinian protesters? If you haven't seen this, I've got some video pulled up here. It's about 45 seconds, and I'm going to play this. And if y'all want to chime in on this, I mean, feel free. I'll be happy to talk about this. But yeah, this kind of blew my mind, folks. Let me make sure I've got this thing pulled up. Hang on a minute. Okay, here we go. Folks, take a look and take a listen to this and tell me what you think. You got to say, back. Oh shit! Someone just got thrown. People getting thrown down the stairs. Yo. That was incredible. That was last night in front of the Democrat National Committee headquarters on Capitol Hill. Apparently, the political parties keep an offices right up on Capitol Hill, which is kind of amazing to me, but okay. Yeah, and here's the story from Breitbart. Take a look at this. Get this thing pulled up here. Pro-Palestinian protesters clash with police outside DNC and arrests are made. Several arrests have been made outside the DNC offices in Washington, D.C., where pro-Palestinian protesters violently clashed with police on Wednesday. This is a story written by Paul Boyes. We read the following. The U.S. Capitol Police said they were making arrests at a pro-Palestinian protest on Wednesday night in southeast D.C., noted NBC Washington. The protesters had gathered outside the headquarters of the Democrat National Committee just south of the Capitol before authorities said several dozen protesters got into a shoving match with officers. Police then used pepper spray and pushed back on protesters to move them a block away from the building. Members of the DNC were evacuated. People have also been asked to avoid the area. Quote, right now our officers are working to keep back approximately 150 people who are illegally and violently protesting in the area of Canal Street and Ivy Street, southeast, police said in a post on Twitter. It remains unclear as to what sparked the violence and if they were protesting a particular event at the DNC. Quote, was just evacuated from the DNC after pro terrorist anti Israel protesters grew violent, pepper spraying police officers and attempting to break into the building. Thankful to the police officers who stopped them and for helping me and my colleagues get out safely, said U.S. Representative Brad Sherman, Democrat, California. Apparently, these pro Hamas demonstrators want Republicans to prevail in the next congressional election. Oh, jeez. Uh, really? Sherman, up to that point, I'd have given you credit for a very classy statement, but no, you had to get a partisan dig into it. God, I think there's a reason why I didn't like that guy. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about this? So if you're on Rumble, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube right now, drop me a comment. I mean, here are my first thoughts on the thing, and I mean, just this whole Israel Hamas thing in general. I stand by, a very old political tradition in this country. I may not agree with you, and I may not agree with what you are protesting about, but you have the right to freedom of assembly and freedom of speech under the First Amendment. I'm not going to stop you. I will disagree with you in the intellectual arena of ideas. I will engage with you there. And if it means a debate, on the streets, not my ideal way of doing it, but okay, fine. And you have every right to take the positions that you do, and you have every right to protest in a peaceful manner. Okay? When it starts turning violent, no, no. At that point, it's no longer peaceful protest, it's an act of violence. Now, I do have a very sarcastic question to ask that I already know my answer to. Does this count as an insurrection? I don't know. Seems to me it has all the elements of it. Just asking. Just saying. Probably not. They weren't on Capitol Hill, technically. But will they be arrested? I mean, the police had to use pepper spray. From what I understand, there are about 5 or 6 different officers that were injured in all this. I mean, and that gets back to what we're protesting about. Man, there is a lot that can be said about what's going on over in Israel and Gaza in particular right now. What Hamas did to the Israelis on October 7th is horrible. And apparently it was a plan that had been in the works for quite some time, months, maybe even years. I mean, when you have paragliders coming into Israel, crossing the Gaza border, strapped with machine guns, these guys, and they start mowing people down, yeah, that takes some planning and it most certainly takes some training. So, what should Israel's response be? Well, not that I'm an Israeli, but it seems to me if your political enemy is hiding out in Gaza, you take out your political enemy. Either you arrest them, or if they don't want to come along peacefully, do what you got to do. Do I advocate that? No, I do not. Do I recognize that's the reality of the situation when you're at war? Absolutely. And I'm sorry, Hamas engaged in an act of war against the state of Israel. So, what should the U.S.'s response be? Well, as far as I'm concerned, we should always try, as much as possible, to work for peace. Recognizing the fact, however, that our ally Israel has been attacked. If they make a formal request for help by way of, military hardware, etc., all right, they're an ally. I think we ought to try and help them take care of their own house. I don't think we need to go busting in the house with them, Translation, I do not want to see U.S. troops on the ground in Israel or Gaza, or for that matter, any other part of the Middle East. However, I also recognize the fact they're already there. So, but coming back home, I am very disturbed and very frightened that we've got what seems like a generational fight going on inside the U.S. over what our response should be in this whole Israel and Hamas thing. That said, I want to show you something else from the other night. This was one of the protesters outside the DNC. Let me get this pulled up. It runs about 45 seconds. I'm going to play the whole thing. And then I want to talk about this. So take a listen to this.
Inside the Democratic Party headquarters, because this party claims to be on the side of life and peace and equality, and we're saying that we want them to live up to their values and oppose this horrific war. And
okay, now that's interesting. On the side of life and peace and equality, and we want them to live up to their values. Now let's continue.
Call for a ceasefire now, and we're being responded to by the police shoving anti-war activists down the stairs.
But they are already calling for a ceasefire.
Shoving peaceful protesters back with their bikes, and because our party that 80% of us want a ceasefire, would rather beat up protesters.
Hold on, to be continued. One second.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's a little bit disturbing. I'm actually addressing this incident. Are you doing a live stream? Or are you doing a video, Christian? Because if you're doing a live stream, I will point people over to you, because this needs to be talked about. Truly needs to be talked about. Thank you for the compliment, by the way. And also, thank you to Joe over on Rumble. I have a Rumble rant. Here's a little birthday change for your front porch. Your analysis is far better than most. Your voice is important. I do hope more people find your channel. Thank you, sir. I genuinely appreciate that on all counts. I really do. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Everything, the Rumble rant and the compliment. And yeah, spread the word about, Christian's doing a video. Okay. But yeah, Joe, thank you very much for the Rumble rant, and thank you for the very kind words. Spread the word about my channel. I mean, you'll hear me praise Christian Watson all the time and tell people about his channel, and I know he does the same for me. So yeah, if you've got friends that are not subscribed to my channel, pass the word on to them. I'd love to have their subscription, love to have their support. But yes, Christian, what time's that video going up tonight? I'm sorry, I know I keep bouncing around here, but what time are you posting that video tonight? And is it going to be on YouTube exclusively, or is it going to be on YouTube, Rumble, or wherever else? So just drop that in chat for me. Let me know, and I'll plug the crap out of that baby. So it's going to be around 6 o'clock tonight. Okay, cool. And will it be just on YouTube, or will it be on YouTube or anywhere else? Okay, so 6 o'clock everywhere, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, etc. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something here. If you want a taste of what Christian Watson can do with a subject and how good his analytical insight is, 6 o'clock tonight, he's got a video going up. Check him out on YouTube, on Rumble, on Odyssey, everywhere he's at. Go check him out. Absolutely, like I said, one of the best young content creators coming or going. One of the most insightful young men I've ever met. This guy is a very serious player with a very serious analysis. So, Now, the reason that I play that snippet with that young lady screaming into the camera, it's not so much that I'm wanting to show that she's screaming into the camera or the fact that she's, there at the protest. I did it for the purposes of showing generational awareness. Now, what am I getting at? I think there's a fascinating dynamic going on right now inside the Democratic Party or inside the political left, more broadly speaking. And it's this: Democrats of a certain generation, when it comes to Israel, will always, by and large, generally will be supportive of Israel as they are one of our few or maybe only ally in the Middle East. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean Democrats always agree with Israel on everything. Believe me, we could sit here and slice and dice that subject all the day long. But my point is this: of a certain generation, they're going to be supportive of Israel, particularly in the circumstances that Israel now finds itself in. In other words, it was attacked in an unprovoked manner. Okay? Every year we celebrate, September 11th, an unprovoked attack upon the United States. This, some would argue, and I don't see any reason to disagree with their statement, this is the Israeli 9/11. Okay? When young men and women are at a dance festival for peace that just happens to be near the Gaza border, and paragliders come across the border packing machine guns, and their feet touch the ground, and they start mowing people down, that's about as unprovoked as it gets. Because I don't think the people at the rave were going out of their way to, make trouble for folks on the other side of the Gaza border. Z Highness over on Rumble says, my college-age peers. Yeah. Now, that gets to the other side of this generational divide. You have young people, particularly college-age young people, who are on the side of the Palestinians and Hamas. Well, let me back that up. They're on the side of the Palestinians in all this, which, I can absolutely understand. I get it. I absolutely get it. And because the Palestinians, what did they do in all this? They're not Hamas. They just happen to be living under the heel of Hamas's boot. And before we go any further, I want to say a thank you to Small Time Republic. Glad you are here, sir. Thank you for stopping by. One of the other folks is very, very supportive of my channel, supportive of my work. Small Time, I'm glad to see you here, brother. Glad to see you. But yeah, you got college-age young people, and all of a sudden, which, by the way, this is another fascinating aspect to all this. All of a sudden, you've got, college administrators, college presidents, college everything else looking at the statements coming out from these young people toward being pro-Palestinian, and they're like, I don't understand why they're so anti-Israeli. I don't understand why they're so, in some cases anti-Semitic with their comments. I have a response to that. If the administrators and presidents of the colleges around the United States would like to hear it, what do you expect? That's what you bred into them. You've been letting professors in your colleges and universities teach this kind of poisonous ideology for decades, in some cases, generations. And now, all of a sudden, when it comes home to roost on your college campus, you're shocked by all this somehow? I mean, how much have you been asleep at the switch that you didn't realize this was going on? Or maybe it's better to say it was going on and it wasn't that big of a problem for you until now. So yeah, there is a fascinating, and I mean fascinating, generational divide inside the Democratic Party right now, or the left. I shouldn't say Democrats, but it's also there too. Because you got older Democrats on Capitol Hill, and then you got people like AOC, Tlaib, Omar, Presley, members of the squad, and others that are just like, they need to be a ceasefire. They need to be a ceasefire. Why? Let's talk about that too. What is this just almost fetish like fascination with the idea of the Israelis agreeing to a ceasefire? Why should the Israelis agree to a ceasefire? That's my first question. Why? Why should they agree to a ceasefire? Have they rounded up the leadership of Hamas? Have they destroyed all the tunnels? Have they taken away Hamas's weapons capability? I mean, to me, the only reason that you engage in a ceasefire in a situation like this is if you have accomplished all of your military goals, and those goals should be with an overall objective of making sure that Hamas cannot do this again, if not for a very long time, then for ever. Either stop them forever or make sure they don't do this again for a very long time. That's the only reason you should be agreeing to a ceasefire. But all of a sudden, you got Democrats just falling all over themselves. Well, we need a pause. What the hell's that? A humanitarian pause. Oh, you mean ceasefire? No, no, no. We didn't say ceasefire. We didn't say ceasefire. We said we need a humanitarian pause. Well, call me crazy, but what's the difference? See, this is one of those moments when Democrats are trying to have it both ways. They don't want to be accused of being weak about what Hamas has done, okay? But they, want to be like, on the right, trying to like, get everything out of it. So they're using the term humanitarian pause as opposed to a ceasefire. Because right now, very few people are supporting the idea of a ceasefire. And frankly, I don't think they should. Not until Israel has accomplished their military goals of rooting out Hamas's military capability to cause them trouble. But that's just me. So yeah, there's a fascinating generational fight right now going on inside the political left in this country. And it's got the potential to really upend the presidential race. Because Joe Biden, and I think to his credit, has, stood solidly beside of Israel in this. Now, I know some of y'all who might be coming to this channel might find it shocking that I'm agreeing with Joe Biden on something, but you know what? What else is he going to do? I mean, put to you this way. Let's say that Joe Biden was at a party and one of his friends had brought their kids. Okay. And another party goer's children walked up to Joe Biden's friend who has children, and this one kid gives the other kid a black eye. What's Joe Biden supposed to do? Look at his friend who brought his kids and say, well, your kid had it coming who got the black eye. Of course he wouldn't do that. He'd be going and talking to the other parents saying, hey, why are you giving my friend's kid a black eye? So it's kind of the same thing here. Israel is a friend. Someone walked up and did something horrible to them. Of course, Joe Biden should stand beside of his friend, Israel. Now, I say that with the understanding that we're talking about Joe Biden. He's not going to do anything that does not have political advantage either for himself or the party that he represents. Okay? But on its face, I'll give Joe Biden credit. He's standing by Israel. But it's causing him a serious amount of heartburn, generationally speaking, inside the political left. Small time republic. Oh, come on. I can only make kids uncomfortable. Only I can. Oh my gosh. Awful, but true. told you I have the smartest audience on the internet. I really do. So, I mean, what's Joe Biden supposed to do? Israel's been attacked. Yes, he should be standing beside of Israel in this. But like I said, it is causing him seven kinds of heartburn. Seven kinds of heartburn with a certain faction of the Democratic Party. And that is going into next year. You're already starting to see it, but it's going to show up in the polls because there are anti-war leftists who are running for president. Jill Stein, Cornel West, Bobby Kennedy Jr., maybe even Joe Manchin, to go back to Joe's original comment that got me started today. There are going to be anti-war leftists who are going to take this issue and absolutely run with it. So yeah, Joe Biden is taking what I think is the appropriate position, but he's going to pay a political price for it. So, and well, thank you, Gypsy. Thank you very much. I genuinely appreciate that. I really do. It's very kind of you. And by the way, thank you to everybody who's out there right now on YouTube, well, on particularly Rumble and Twitter, Getter, Truth Social, Gab, and wherever you go to promote my channel. Which, by the way, it is official. This channel is being suppressed. Now, if you wonder what I'm talking about, I'm going to tell you a story. Now, Gypsy, am I allowed to share what you told me the other day about the folks you were talking to? Am I allowed to talk about that, or would you rather I not get into it? Because I can avoid that and not and still make my point. So, but I just want to make sure you're cool. You're cool with me sharing the conversation we had. Okay, cool. This channel is being suppressed. And if you want proof of that, oh, goodness. Hello, you good looking thing, you. Ah. Hello, mommy. By the way, the pictures you have been posting, you have been looking mighty fine like wine. Mwah. You gorgeous doll baby thing, you. Now, I say this channel is being suppressed, and here's what I'm getting at. I have been stuck, and I mean stuck, on about 515 subscribers on YouTube now for probably, I'm going to say about 2.5 weeks. And oh, you're welcome, mommy. Mommy, you know I'm going to tell you when you're looking good, which is probably all the time. So you just take every compliment in, and just you know it. You've earned every one of them. But yeah, I've been stuck on like 515 subscribers now for like 2.5 weeks. I couldn't buy a subscriber on YouTube. Well, the other day, well, laying aside what I am the master of, and we'll just leave that alone. Thank you very much, Flagrant. I genuinely appreciate it. Gotta trust Cam to bring the ever interesting comment. So the other day, Gypsy, in a very kind step, started sharing the link to my channel, or actually one of my videos, on multiple social media platforms. And she got back good responses, and 3 people told her that they had just subscribed to my YouTube channel. Now, all 3 of them subscribed on the same day. Okay? All 3 of them. Do you know that my subscriber count did not move one bit? Let me say it again. 3 subscribers to my YouTube channel. They all subscribed on the same exact day. The same day that Gypsy shared around a link to my most recent video at that time. And not one new subscriber showed up in my subscriber counter. In other words, stuck at the time, I was stuck at 514. Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So Gypsy is sharing this information with me, and I'm being very specific. I said, so you're sure all three of them subscribed to the channel on the same day? She's like, yep, and they just did it today. I sent a message to YouTube over Twitter, and I said, hey, what's going on? Oh, well, it's part of our security and everything. We're trying to verify the authenticity of the account that is subscribing to your channel. I said, well, okay. Okay. Now that said, on that day when all this went down, my count went from 514 to 515. And it's still at 515, which means, in theory, of those three people that subscribe to my channel, one of them got through YouTube's supposed security process, which means I ought to have two more. I ought to be sitting on 517. Well, it's been 2 days since all that happened, and my subscriber count still hasn't moved 1 inch. So I am, I've had a suspicion now that this is what's going on. Well, now I've got the proof. So, continue, spread the word, continue to subscribe to the channel, have people subscribe to the channel, but have them subscribe to both YouTube and Rumble. Thank you. Thank you, Force Mommy. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, continue to share it around, and everybody that does, you have my eternal thank you. And I mean that in all sincerity. One of these days, I want to do a meetup somewhere. And I don't know where we'll do it or when we'll do it or whatever, but I would love to actually meet some of you all. Yeah. YouTube no like you, Brian. Yeah, buddy. I'm getting that. I'm getting that impression. Just saying. So yeah, so the channel's being suppressed. I mean, I'm not like Jeremy from the quartering and saying my channel is being attacked, but yeah, we're definitely being suppressed. Definitely. So subscribe to both YouTube and Rumble, you know. And like I say, I am being at this for 8 months. I am just tickled to death. I really am. I really am. And you guys are amazing. Every last one of you. You guys are awesome. Can you go to MegaCon in Orlando? G&G will be there. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, Z Highness. I see your question, but no, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, unfortunately. I'd love to. They talked about doing a meetup in Indianapolis, which I'm assuming would be sometime next year. And if they do, yeah, I could do that. But I'm definitely overdue to go to some of these cons. There's a lot of people I want to meet. Thank you, Christian. I genuinely appreciate that. I do. And next year's going to be a lot of fun for me. I mean, and I know for Christian and other content creators, because man, there's going to be nothing like a presidential election year for content. Hey, yeah, we're about an hour. Your mom and I are about an hour apart. So, dude, let me know when you're coming up. I'll be glad to hang out with you. I'll take you around my hometown. So, hopefully we don't get arrested. So anyway, if you happen to be stopping by and you're wondering what the heck is going on and who's this weirdo with the hat, my name is Brian Tripp and I am the Front Porch Conservative. This is my birthday stream. And we're kind of just hanging out and chilling, and I'm, taking some time to say thank you for the past 8 months, for everything that everybody has done to help grow this channel. And, thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to everybody on Rumble. Thank you to everybody on Twitter. I have met and continued to meet some amazing and extraordinary people. And the thing I love about what I'm doing is I mean, everybody that knows me knows, politics is one of the things I like focus on, and it's one of the focuses of my channel. But I like talking to people. People intrigue me, and I don't mean that just in the purely clinical or analytical sense. I don't want to be like, some mad scientist like this person interests me. No, people interest me. People make interest me for any number of different reasons. Um, so when I do interviews, I always ask myself, why am I interviewing this person? Usually the first answer in my brain is because they intrigue me. I want to learn about them. And I've reached out in the past 24 hours to some folks that hopefully in December and January I can get them on the electronic front porch for a conversation. And I think that the guests that I've got in mind are wide and varied as far as their interests and the things that they're passionate about. And I'm crossing my fingers that I can get them locked in for an interview because they would be a load of fun to talk to. Oh, Z Hines, you're absolutely right. This election is going to be a wild ride. This is going to be an absolutely crazy, crazy election. And with that in mind, I want to shift gears ever so slightly. And let me find it here real fast. Let me see if I've got this thing pulled up. I want to play you a snippet from an interview that Tucker Carlson did um, with Candace Owens. Which, by the way, I have a question I'd like to ask. This whole thing about Tucker Carlson being Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee. What do you guys think about this? I mean, I don't think there's any way in the world Tucker Carlson would ever do it. But the fact that this is even being talked about is absolutely making some people 7 shades of crazy inside the political left. But I would love to get your reaction to it. Like I said, I cannot in a million years ever see Tucker Carlson agreeing to do it. How long am I streaming today? No idea. Flagrant? No idea. I mean, honestly, I'm just here talking for a little while, saying thank you to everybody. I mean, I might go for another half an hour, 45 minutes. You know, I mean, I know that, but if people have things they need to go do, go and do what you got to do. Go and do what you got to do. I'm just tickled to death. Y'all stop by and wish me a happy birthday and all that. So, you know, but yeah, if you got stuff you got to go do it. And that goes for all of you. Seriously. I'm glad you're here and hanging out with me. But to get back to this whole Tucker Carlson thing, I want to play you something because it's not so much that Tucker Carlson's talking to Candace Owens that intrigues me. It's what they're about to talk about. Y'all heard Nikki Haley's comments about social media? Guys, check this out and tell me what you think.
Here, case in point, here's a woman who is running for president, the former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, explaining that because of these attacks on October 7th, the rest of us need to register with the government in order to express our opinions online. Here she is.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Tucker Carlson on that one. I'm like, what the what? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, shoot. Sorry about that, Flagrant. Yeah, I'd gladly throw you the invitation. Gladly throw it to you. Yeah, this okay. Let's get into this. Okay, with all due respect to the former governor of South Carolina, Nikki Haley, lady, you are out of your ever loving gourd. We are not going to register our names for the benefit of the government. Thank you very much. There are still things known as First Amendment right to freedom of association, Fourth Amendment right to privacy, First Amendment right to freedom of speech, and you start pulling this crap, and you are absolutely infringing on all those guaranteed rights. Now, do we have a problem with Russian bots and this kind of bots and that kind of? Yeah, okay, fine, yes. But the idea that we're going to register our names in some kind of federal government database where the feds can know who we are and they can monitor our comments, which hell, they're already doing it anyway. Forget you. Oh, really? Really? Nimharada. Well, Nimrod's more like it. Um, this this is madness. This is absolute madness. I mean, up to now, I have not said a lot about Nikki Haley. I guess for one particular reason that, frankly, there are two reasons. Let me back that up. Two reasons. One is I know she will never get the Republican nomination to run for president, not while Donald Trump is here. Okay. That's the first reason. And the second reason is up until now, she's an irrelevancy. Now, that doesn't mean she's not running for president. She obviously is. But she's irrelevant in that it's Trump, and up to now, it's been Ron DeSantis. However, DeSantis is falling apart fast. Hang on a minute. I'm going to try and find something real quick to give you guys an idea of what's going on with poor old Ronald. See if I can pull this up real fast. Hang on. I'm hoping this person put this online, because if they did, I can show it to you. Because normally they post one place and then, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Cool. He did. Let me show you something. This is from Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Another person you should be following, by the way. This is a tweet that he put out a little earlier. The reality of the situation for Ron DeSantis is dire. He's about to go underwater in his own state, a MAGA red state that loves Donald Trump. Also, he's got less than 1 month to drop out or face a 40-point trouncing in his own state. P.S. Iowa and Ohio are also MAGA red states, not red states. There is a big, big difference. So the reason that more or less I haven't paid much attention to Nikki Haley up until now is, frankly, she's irrelevant for purposes of discussing. However, it's starting to become painfully obvious that how do I want to phrase this? Shall we say certain parties would love to paint her as the viable and logical alternative to Donald Trump. You don't believe me? Let me show you something else. There's a whole slew of polls that came out in the past couple of days, and I think they are worth talking about. Look at this. Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden. Doesn't matter if it's a head-to-head matchup or if it's a matchup of multiple candidates. But you notice something else. Look at this. This is from Fox News. Let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit. Make it easier for people to read. Yeah, look at this. In Fox's poll of Haley against Joe Biden, according to Fox, Haley is beating Joe Biden worse than Donald Trump would be beating him. And if you go through other polls, you see the same thing. Now, I'm not saying the pollsters are in on this, so let me be very clear about that. Okay, the pollsters are showing what the pollsters are showing. But in the minds of certain people, they are trying to paint Nikki Haley as the viable alternative to Donald Trump because they realize DeSantis is falling apart. His campaign has maybe about a month to go. And believe me, when he gets his rear end kicked in Iowa, he's done. I mean, DeSantis might limp his way to um, New Hampshire, maybe South Carolina, and that's it. He's out of money, he's out of gas, he's out of resources, he's out of everything. He'll drop out. There are only two other candidates aside from Trump that are going to go the distance. Chris Christie is one of them, and he'll do that on the basis of hate, if nothing else. If he has to ride a unicycle to a Republican event somewhere, have no campaign staff around him, and use his camera to take selfies for campaign pictures, Chris Christie hates Donald Trump that much, he'll do it. And by the way, the idea of Chris Christie on a unicycle, I'd give real money to see that. But the other person's Nikki Haley. Why? Because there are, like I said, there are certain elements that want to paint her as the alternative to Trump. And I think Gypsy's on to something here. They're pushing Nikki bigly, if not for Prez, lots about her. No, let me tell you something. Yeah, they're probably trying to push her for Prez, but definitely for the Veep. And if Donald Trump has any sense at all, he will never let that backstabbing, ambitious woman, I'm trying to keep this family friendly, so sorry. He will never let that woman anywhere near the vice presidency or anywhere near his administration. Hopefully the first time around taught him what she's all about. So there's that. But yeah, they're trying to push Nikki Haley as the alternative to Trump. And I'm probably going to be doing a video for first thing in the morning talking about this very thing. Because this is just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Ugh. No. There are three that I want Donald Trump to take. And I know who my first choice is. I want to see him take JD Vance. But we'll get back to that in a second because there's some comments over on Rumble. Z Hyness says, "The shrimp dish is on his last boot." De shrimp. I like that. De shrimp. Z Hyness, can I use that? I'll give you credit for it, but can I use that? I love that nickname for DeSantis. De shrimp. De shrimp dish. That's great. And then Joe says they really expect us to believe Nikki Haley, of all people, would win in a Ronald Reagan 84 landslide. That would never happen. You know, Joe, you just brought up something, and I want to show this because you just brought up a fascinating point that absolutely needs to be talked about. And I'm sorry that I did not think to do this myself, but I've got to show you this. So Nikki Haley supposedly beats Joe Biden bigger and better than Donald Trump can. All right, then I have a question. If that's the case, explain this. This is the Real Clear Politics average of polls. And when you average all these polls together, the closest person to Donald Trump is Shrimp Dish. Thank you, Z Hyness. I love you. The closest person to Donald Trump is the shrimp dish, Ron DeSantis. And you know how far behind he is? 45 points. You know who's behind DeSantis? Nikki Haley. You know how far behind Trump she is? Almost 50 points. So here's the question that I've got. If she is 50 points behind Donald Trump in an average of polls for the Republican nomination, then how in the infernal regions of hell is she going to beat Joe Biden bigger and better than Donald Trump would? I mean, if she's the cotton picking rage of the age, she ought to be running away with this nomination for the Republicans. Yet it's Donald Trump that is holding her and everyone else's political nose and kicking them in the political ass. And I'll ask another question. I'll ask another question that was asked by someone else this morning. Why in God's name are we still doing these debates? Why are we still doing these debates? This is crazy. There's not one reason in the world to do these debates. There's no reason to. The debate is over. The Republican Party is speaking with full-throated voice. They don't want anybody but Trump. The overwhelming majority of the Republican voters want Donald Trump in a re-election matchup, in a rematch against Joe Biden. A grudge match, cage match, whatever you want to call it. They don't want the shrimp dish, and they don't want George Bush in high heels. Which, by the way, what's this new nickname? Nixie? Nixie. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh yeah, she's absolutely spreading cash around. She's trying to keep up this illusion that there's still some kind of this debate going on inside the Republican Party. Ronna, there's no debate. There are people that aren't going to vote for Trump, and that's fine. That's their right to do so. But the argument that says that somehow it's determined that this is still wide open, that's crap. This is over. The Republicans, by and large, want Donald Trump in a rematch against Joe Biden. DeSantis wears high heels too. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love my audience. I love you guys. I love you guys. Oh goodness. Yeah, Trump's going to deliver that KO. Yeah, and that is something. And Z Highness brings up a really interesting point over on Rumble, which, by the way, all y'all on Rumble, I love you guys over there. So bless your hearts. The largest margin of victory in an Iowa caucus, at least among the Republicans, is 12 points. What I am dying to see is, hang on a minute. I want to see if I can find this real fast. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Sorry. The largest margin of victory in a Republican Iowa caucus for president is 12 points. Right now, Donald Trump is beating everybody by almost 30 points. What I am going to be fascinated to see on election day, January 15th in Iowa, is the margin of victory that Trump will have in the Iowa caucus? Okay, so Nick G. Okay. Nick G, as in Xi Jinping. Nick G. Okay. Great nickname, by the way. And Small Time brings up a really good point about Trump. He's doing all this while not going to the debates and being tied up in court. Could you imagine if he weren't tied up in 3 or 4 different courtrooms around this country, what he could do? Which goes to something else. Let me find it real fast. I want to go back to. Yeah, here it is. In a rolling average of polls, and keep in mind, I'm not real thrilled with the idea of a rolling average for a particular reason, but laying that aside, rolling average of polls nationally right now, Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden in a head-to-head matchup. Now, here's the thing. This will not be a head-to-head matchup. Okay? On one other point. This same time in 2019, Biden had a 10-point lead on Trump. And now, 4 years later to the day, Trump has a lead on Biden. Now, there's a lot that can be said about it, but I'm just saying. Now, I said this is not going to be a straight head-to-head matchup. Let me show you one more thing. Even with competitors, okay? Even with competitors, Trump's still winning. So, I'm just saying, why in the world are we still doing these debates? Why in the world are we still trying to find alternatives to Trump? Small Time says if the courts were going after the leading Democrat president in any year like they're going at every day, yeah. Oh, absolutely true. Absolutely true. And Joe over on Rumble says, remember when Vivek Ramaswamy called Nikki Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels? Her only complaint was the size of the heels. She didn't dispute the Dick Cheney comparison. Joe, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong, dude. So yeah. Yeah, I think it's about time that we start focusing on Nick G. I think it's about time we start focusing on her. So I'm probably going to do a video later tonight, and it'll be out first thing in the morning because it's about time we start focusing on this lady, or at least I focus on her anyway. So yeah, that's just some of what I want to talk about. I wanted to find a few things and come on in here and hang out with you guys for a little while. So for everybody who's been here, Joe and Z Highness and Forest Mommy, Gypsy, Small Time, Republic, Flagrant, all you guys, and Christian Watson, etc. Which, by the way, again, 6 p.m. this evening, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey. Go check out Christian Watson's video. He is definitely somebody you ought to be giving a sub to. Which, by the way, if you're not here live and you're watching this video later, there are 3 things you can do on my birthday. One of 3. A, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please give me a sub to both YouTube and Rumble. Number 2, the next time you catch me on Rumble, feel free, if you have the disposable coin to do it, and if you are so inclined, please feel free to drop a Rumble rant in my general direction. You will not hurt my feelings in the slightest. And I want to thank Joe again for his very kind Rumble rant. That's very nice of you, sir. And finally, do both of them. Give me a Rumble rant and sub to my channels. So, like I say, I wanted to come on here for a little while and hang out with you guys. You've made my birthday fun, and again, I say it before and I'll say it again. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for growing these channels for me the way that you have. You all have been absolutely nothing short of amazing. And please continue to spread the word. I'm going to be putting out videos. I'll be back Saturday morning with Front Porch Brunch. And you guys can come hang out. We'll talk about whatever's in the news. And believe me, there's a lot of news to talk about constantly everywhere. So you guys are amazing. You're awesome. And thank you for sharing my birthday with me. You guys are the most amazing audience on the internet. Share the links to the channel. Let's see if we can get some more subscribers in here. And in the meanwhile, you guys have a great Thursday afternoon. And remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Thanks for hanging out with me on my birthday. I'll see you later.